If you're an average player, you want to be left alone, right? Because you want to be able to slide by. If you're a good player, you want to be coached. If you're a great player, you want the coach to tell you the truth every day. Did I hustle on that play? Did I make the right read? Did I play the guy with the right leverage? You want to know every play. Because you know why? They want to be perfect. Everybody here makes a choice to do one of those three things.
Welcome to the GOAT Consulting Podcast, a podcast dedicated to people striving to be a GOAT, the greatest of all time, serving it up in a way that you can get it in all stages of life.
Hey, I'm Colby Jubenville. Welcome to another episode of the GOAT Consulting Podcast right here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in studio in VC Productions. Always at the table, my good friend, without his branded wear today.
It's very trendy.
The father of the GOAT Consulting Podcast.
Peter Millar. It might as well be my second brand.
Yes, Peter Millar's second brand. Thank you for that. There's an identity for you. Tyler Burnett.
Yes,
Tyler, we're glad you're here to be here today.
Happy to be here.
Brand new truck, brand new year. Very excited.
It's not brand new anymore. This is
It's true.
it's 10 episodes in.
Not here anymore, though.
And to the left, the
Weirdo.
LinkedIn Whisperer, the calming force to our show, wearing another cool T-shirt today. He's a party animal.
Yes.
He won that as the most loyal, recognized
All of the above.
customer of Buffalo Trace.
Yes.
Where are they based out of? Louisville?
They are just they're kind of northwest of Lexington.
Northwest of
bit.
Lexington.
Yeah.
Well,
Louisville, somewhere up there.
Only somebody that's a very loyal
Up yonder.
customer would know that.
Yonder.
We got a great show for you today. We serve it up in a way that you can get it. This is the GOAT Consulting Podcast. In our 20s, they teach us to get in the game. In our 30s, we move up in the game. 40s, we stay in the game. In the 50s, we ask ourselves, what is it that I really want? I'm asking myself that today for some reason. But it's also about the GOAT, or the greatest of all time. In sports, it's easy to see. It's people that are recognized for their greatness. They elevate the play of those around them. But in business, it's people that compete on unique perspective, education, experience. What they do gives them energy. It gives other people energy, creates new levels of challenge and new levels of opportunity. We bring you one idea. We sit around the table. We unpack it. It's a car ride to work and a car ride home. We're excited about today.
Are we? Because you said you weren't excited about this episode.
But you did use "and" a lot in that conversation you just had.
Let me go ahead and throw a butt on there right now. All
Okay,
right?
go ahead.
And say
a Boston butt.
And say, yes, a big old Boston butt. I'm excited to be doing this, but I would have rather done a different topic. How about that?
Okay.
And I'm here with you guys together.
Now we've got your attention, folks.
Yes.
We'd love to have you on the podcast with us, but
You're 50.
And
yeah, you are
Happy
50.
birthday.
thank you.
Your hair's not
Still-
getting any more black.
Still 50.
It still looks good, though.
Can I start us
That
with
was a chance for you to say, yeah, it does, Colby. But go ahead. Yes,
Yeah,
you can
it
start
looks
us however
great.
you
Can
want.
I start us with a GOAT to help shape up? What are we calling this episode, by the way, that you don't
And
like?
is greater than but.
Okay. The and is greater than but. So I'm going to just go ahead and share my episode, but I'm going to share it through a song,
Oh, God.
and then I'll share, because there's never been any greater platform, teacher, professor that could ever teach you about ands and buts
Then.
than my friends at Schoolhouse Rock.
I got three favorite cars that get most of my job done.
Conjunction Junction.
I'm back. I'm 8 years old.
And button on,
Listen.
they'll get you pretty far. And that's an additive, like this and that. But that's sort of the opposite. Not this, but that.
Okay.
That was good. I was back at 7 South Hathaway in Mobile, Alabama, watching a black and white television, soaking it up on a Saturday morning. So thank you for
I
that.
will oftentimes find myself, for no apparent reason at all, singing the song Conjunction Junction.
What's your function?
Yes. And if you heard that line,
Yeah.
it tees up the entire episode here. So
How do we bring that back? How do we bring – because he's over here shaking his head. You know what? He doesn't know what it is.
well, but he doesn't know Ted Lasso yet very well either.
It's true. Have you never heard that before?
I'm in my own world, guys.
Well, there's
true.
no doubt about that.
Here's what he says, and this frames the entire episode for me. You're all about framework, so hopefully I'm going to recruit you to enjoy it a little more than
And
you
is
think
greater than but.
you might hear. Here's what the
Oh, boy.
the train man, what do you call him? The guy
The
that leads
conductor.
the conductor.
Conductor, is that
train
right? The train
I'm
man?
glad
This is
I
what
know
he says.
conductor, even though I don't know Ted Lasso.
He says, and that's an additive.
Yeah.
Like this and that.
This got me excited now. This is good.
But
it's
that's sort of the opposite.
Yeah.
Not this, but
that. Yeah.
That couldn't frame up this episode
No.
anymore.
Well, that needs to be the title of the episode. Conjunction Junction, what's your function? And is greater than but.
Yes, it is. This is evolving.
Or this and that versus
This
but
helps
that.
me.
We're going places, folks.
This makes me want to listen more.
So
All right.
what's the problem here? Like, why are we talking about this? I brought this up to Colby. Hey, let's talk about this. He said, that's so old and it's worn out. People, that's what your therapist says in the very first few minutes of
Yeah.
your first therapy appointment.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But I will tell you,
maybe so, but
as in most things in life, I'm a late bloomer, and yet I probably just picked this up a couple of years ago. But I would find myself saying things, and that was intentional, by the way.
Good.
I would find myself saying things like, maybe to my kids, I love you, but you gotta leave me alone for right now, or you gotta stop doing
And
this.
that's the opposite.
you got to
Yeah.
clean your room.
Or how about like, I see your point, but,
Yeah.
and then I wrote this one down. This will be hard, but I guess I can do it, or whatever. You know, we all have the thing. Until I finally like woke up one day, and I don't know where I was reminded and singing the song Conjunction Junction, but it made me think. And is an additive, and but is the opposite.
That's good.
It negates whatever thing we just tried to communicate.
And in relationships, shouldn't we be adding? It's an additive. An additive for what? An additive for connection.
Yes.
Versus but, which is the opposite. Now, they don't tell us. That's Schoolhouse Rock. Is that correct?
Schoolhouse Rock.
They don't, at Schoolhouse Rock, they don't tell us what it's opposite of, do they? They just say it's the opposite.
Of and. It's the opposite of an additive.
Okay, so it's taking away.
Yeah, that's why I said it's negating the previous statement. That's what a but does.
Okay.
So whatever you said, whatever thing you put out there,
Was never even heard.
or even worse, I think it was heard and then negated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
just totally
Yes.
discounted, right? That it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter. It not only does it not matter, but I want to point out to you that it doesn't matter.
It kind of reminds me of different sales training that will say things like, "Don't use the word never," or "Don't use the word no," or "Don't." Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain that. I was hoping maybe you could help me pull that out. But just when you're making different pitches, instead of saying no or "don't do this," you maybe say "do this." You want to get rid of the negativity in the thought, whether you're communicating with somebody or trying to sell a product or whatever. You want to talk about everything it does do instead of what it doesn't do. You just want to keep the conversation positive instead
Adding
of
to it.
instead of
Make
negative.
it an additive.
Additive, like additives in our, not like additives in our foods,
That is correct. That would be
but additives
that would be a negative.
in our relationships.
Yeah, there's no better example for me in my own life, and I've shared this before. You're going to have to bear with me again. Than a year and a half ago, watching Frozen with my daughter for the 3,000th time, and she said, and I asked her if, as she sees Kristoff and Anna, jump over this ravine in their carriage with the horse, and I said, "Gee, would you want to do that together?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Would you be scared?" She said, "Yes, and brave."
That's powerful.
At the time, she was 3.5, and she said something in that moment that it took me 40 years to learn. That scared and brave aren't mutually exclusive. And that's the whole premise of this episode, and that's what an "and" does.
Yeah.
Is it has these two concepts and ideas that can be said in the same breath, in the same sentence, and both be true. Both statements can be true at the same time.
Do you think that that she learned that from you, or she learned that from Disney?
That's a good question. I would like to think she learned it because we have been speaking speaking a different language in our house the last few years.
Yeah.
And not languages in a foreign language, but a different types of words that create that kind of sharing our thoughts and feelings in a way that our older kids didn't get when they were 4.
Because Disney is damn good at what they do.
They are very good.
And apparently it's working with G because maybe it's a little sprinkle of both.
Probably.
Is there any time where it's appropriate to use but?
I think you use but when you're trying to
Discount.
I think the problem is that we use it so many times incorrectly, and I feel like I was having this thought before the episode, but I didn't take any notes on it.
That was very truthful to the audience.
Not this, but that, just like the song, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
Wait, what song? Oh, Conjunction
Junction. Junction.
Yeah. What's your function? Yeah. Is there any time where you use but?
Where is this coffee mug? It's not here, but it's over here, right? I mean,
it's for clarity.
Yeah, it's for clarity. We use but most oftentimes
To control emotion.
very incorrectly.
Yes.
And this is from a grammatical standpoint, which I have zero, authority or any kind of education to share. But I will say that we use but so often incorrectly because we use it in such a way that negates the first part of our statement.
I think I use it maybe if I'm meeting with a client and they're talking about it's expensive or does it get hot or anything like that. It does, but it does this, and this that you're
it is expensive
struggling with as well.
And there's nothing better on the market. Or fill in the blank.
You know what I think
whatever
we
it
use
is,
but
right?
for? To control.
Say more about that.
Well, somebody says, but, is it hot? It is hot.
I felt like you're going to say that in an accent that I was really looking forward to.
It does get hot, but
Might.
he's trying to control the language to get it back to where he wants it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And what the song says is you say "and" there to add to it. It is hot, and it has a rating of. Give me the numbers.
It's Class A fire rated.
Class A fire rated.
But, that's not relative to heat. That's relative to catching fire. But
Okay. Oh, pull that there. And
but
yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
was that correct?
I don't know if you could. I mean, I guess you can say that. I mean, I think you use it if you're arguing a point or if you're debating with someone. I think that's a right time to. If you have a different point.
Is
right?
there any time to use but correctly?
I think so. I think that's what John was saying is that if you're debating or if you're against a thought.
I don't know that I would say in debating or against a thought. I would say it because you can still add to the conversation and be against it all at the same time.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you're
Very
totally
inclusive.
against something, you wouldn't use the word but.
I don't know that I've thought about it and using it as being against something.
Okay.
Back to your earlier point, right? Like let's say things in a way that we're for them, and I think that's where you bring in an and. When we use a but, it's simply for grammatical, a grammatical statement as opposed to using it that has emotion tied to it.
I think it's the same.
Is an aggressive kind of or a threatening kind of way when we insert a but.
I don't know about threatening though. And something I'm just thinking that comes to mind, something you talk about is not everybody's the right client for you. So do you have that conversation and say, I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but I'm just not the right fit for you? Or would you say, and I'm not the right fit for you? I wouldn't say and.
I don't know, maybe.
I think you would. I think it's the same. Like when salespeople have quotas, why do managers give salespeople quotas? Because it's the easiest.
They're not effective.
It's the easiest thing to do. And I think that we go to but because it's the easiest thing to do. We're hardwired to protect, stand our ground, protect our turf, and but allows us to do that.
Protect our turf.
Protect our turf. Go turf.
Did anybody have? I had to use Conjunction Junction, but I was really hoping one of you had Sir Mix-a-Lot as your goat.
No, I didn't, but I had. Here's mine, and maybe you'll see the.
Why didn't anybody like that joke?
I thought it was good.
on, you didn't.
That's when Davey should have pumped that music.
I'm not familiar.
No.
This breaks my heart.
My goat was Beavis and Butthead.
Oh,
Do you get it?
I love that.
Do you get that?
You know
Yes.
what's crazy?
That's yours.
Mine was Tom and Jerry.
This is nuts. We're going.
You guys nailed
We're
it.
going. We're going way back. We're going way back.
So well done.
You're going the hardcore way back.
Beavis and Butthead. They were like one
I'm
of
going
the
to-
greatest things from MTV.
I'm going back to
If
I'm
not
going
the
back to
greatest.
Saturday mornings. You know,
Yeah,
Saturday mornings in
watching
a
Tom
very,
and Jerry.
in a very. It wasn't Tom but Jerry.
that's correct.
It was Tom and Jerry. It wasn't Beavis but Butthead. I mean, that wouldn't even make any sense.
They
was-
actually
it
probably
was-
would have done a lot better if they named it that.
Beavis but Butthead. What is your favorite moment from Beavis and Butthead?
Well, it is the moment. This is so clear, and I'm glad you asked. It is the episode where they're in gym class, and the gym teacher is teaching them about
That boy ain't right.
sex education, and they have been threatened with expulsion if they laugh, and they were just, their faces were red, as redder than the shirt, and then they just burst out and he kicks them out of class. My favorite moment of the
What is it that he used to say?
Cornholio.
yes.
How did he say it though?
This is so great. We need a whole episode on Beavis.
Well, my
Beavis
favorite
Butthead.
My favorite is when they work at the fast food restaurant and the guy says, "Large fry, pie, large coffee, pronto," and they just thought that was so funny. But you have to watch that, I guess,
Yeah.
to see it. So
The Great Cornholio is a hyperactive alter ego of Beavis in the animated Beavis and Butthead.
we have let this thing totally go off the
Wait,
rails today.
One takeaway, though, before you shut it down, because I feel we're heading that way.
Yeah.
And that's the right
Well,
move.
I've got to.
One takeaway. Inevitably,
We're out of time.
if you listen to this episode, you will automatically be more aware of using but instead of and. And my encouragement to you is just continue to raise that awareness. Catch yourself using it incorrectly and replace it with an and.
Well, I think what we've done today is shed light on and being an additive
Yes.
and but being the opposite of that.
Yes.
And it's your choice as a listener to decide if you can get more out of a conversation using and or a conversation using but. The other thing that we did that was really, really cool is we shared stages of television. Conjunction Junction, Tom and Jerry, and Beavis and Butthead. So for all of those networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and MTV.
And the 50-year-old had the most, the newest of the three.
I know, which is sort of a paradox, and we'll talk about that later. But for Beavis and Butthead and Tom and Jerry and Conjunction Junction, the good folks at Schoolhouse Rock over on ABC, and for Tyler Burnett and John Byers, I'm Colby Jeebenville, and this is the Go Consulting Podcast.